25,000.
All right, talk about price for a second. I've read books on negotiating, and for some people, myself included, so I'll confess to this, part of the fun of buying something that you don't need is discussing the price and learning about the person, complimenting him at the end on what a difficult, seller he was, and he compliments you on how tough you were. And that whole process is something that people sometimes enjoy. I know I enjoy it.
Sure.
You're not offended if someone wants to discuss. It's part of your business.
Oh, no, we love it.
Yeah.
It means they're serious.
The moment they say, can I have a better price, we know that they're serious.
Right.
The moment they're serious, then we try to accommodate them. We have a saying in the gallery. When both parties walk away unhappy, we know we both made a good deal.
Right, we made a good deal. Right, they're both happy or both unhappy. But the interesting thing about the price is that when you ask somebody, are you interested in this piece? What I hate is a stroker, a guy who says, "Would you take $200,000 for that lamp?" And you say, "Oh, okay." And he says, "Well, let me think about it." Someone shouldn't offer you a price if they're not.
Yeah.
Right?
Four
ready
flushers.
to buy. Yeah.
We don't like four
flushers. I call them strokers. But
yeah, strokers, that's fine too.
It's the same concept.
We never do that when we buy. If we make an offer, we're going to stick by it.
Right. What's the dynamic like between you and Larry? They're two different generations.
Yeah, sure.
Your dad is Larry's partner, so there's
Yep.
sort of a funny niche for you to fill. Talk about that.
Well, it's been interesting. I mean, the truth of it is I say to everybody who asks me if I'm the owner of the business, I say, well, I'm the heir apparent. My dad's 76. Larry's going to be 69 this week. And my mom, who retired a few years ago, is also going to be 69 this year. So I'm really lucky they were born before me. I mean, it would be impossible to create a collection and start a business the kind that we have now. There just isn't enough of the good material. So on that level, I'm incredibly grateful. And people say to me, well, did you go to school for this? And I say, yeah, I learned at the knee of my parents and Larry. Because the truth of it is that they know more than almost anyone I've ever met.
On this subject, for sure.
On this
and
subject,
the
and business in
interpersonal
general.
chemistry, you seem to like each other. What are the odds of that?
Yeah. Well, I call him my second dad. So
Ben
we
is
get along
almost
great.
like a son. When Ben first came to us, Ben didn't know very much. So
knew less than very much.
Ben said to me, he says, can I watch you and follow you? So for, I'd say, a good year or so, maybe a year and a half to two,
I hung on his every word.
everywhere I was, everything I did, Ben was on my shoulder. And here it is, many years later, I get a great joy, pleasure in seeing all of the lessons, all of the various things that I would teach him. He took on, he studied it, and he can now do it all by himself.
It's a beautiful thing, because
It is.
you're still learning, right? This is a lifetime
Never stop.
learning.
Never stop.
Lifetime
That's what
learning
makes the
experience.
business fun. Every day presents you a different twist on what you normally do.
How important is it to have the object in your inventory rather than to say, I could get it for you if I call, but it could take...
You have to have it.
You
have to own it to sell it.
A friend of mine who is in the third-generation jewelry business told me that his grandfather taught him that you can't do business over an empty wagon.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Can't sell
you
from an
need-
empty store.
Right.
Yep.
You can't. You have to have the inventory, and this inventory obviously is a lot of dollars.
We
involved.
buy just about every day that we are available.
And buying is as much of a skill as selling, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
But it's much more fun.
The buying is the fun.
what's the and I always say you make your money when you buy something, not when you
Absolutely.
sell. If you buy it right, well bought, half sold, right?
Yep.
What about
Well put.
what about all the dealers here? How you guys work between yourselves?
Sure.
If you specialize in Tiffany Lamps and the guy from Nebraska got a really cool piece, he may know that there's an arbitrage where you have a better buyer than he does.
Yeah, sure.
How does that work?
We're happy to... Larry taught me something. The second sale I ever made, Larry was back, and I was getting my head handed to me by a guy who was just toying with me. I was 23. I didn't know squat.
Torturing you.
Here was this guy who was just having so much fun beating me up over the price. And, business wasn't very good in 1994, so, I was that much more desperate, and I didn't know what to do. Finally, I said, sir, I have to go back and consult with somebody. So I went back, and I told Larry what was happening. He said, Ben, smile and take his money. He said, go out there and smile and take his money. And that's basically our way of doing it with everybody, including other dealers. If a dealer came in and offered me a price that I could live with for these 5 pieces, as much as I love them, I'd be happy to sell them to
Because
them.
at the end of the day, you need to move your inventory. You
course.
can't fall in love with a piece,
Nope.
right?
We never put anything out for sale that we think of taking home. If we want to take it home, we take it home.
Yeah.
But because we buy every day, we try to sell every day.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And our inventory...
Hey, Jerry, would you like to buy this? It would look nice
It's
on your
beautiful.
wife.
I would love it.
Maybe this ring. I
The
don't know. What do you
market's
think?
down today, if you haven't noticed. Let's talk about this ring. Let me have this ring.
Sure, man.
Rye, where are you going to come to me on what camera for this ring? Want to come up to me on 3? Can you see that ring? Give me a tight shot of that thing. Describe this ring to me. It's got some red stones and some diamonds.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So this is made by Tiffany and Company, and it was made in the 30s. And it has that very Art Deco feel. It almost looks like a Bugatti car, all the curves and the lines of it.
Yeah, it does. I see that.
So that's where you start to see that jewelry reflects and sometimes leads the aesthetics of every period in which it's made. But what's cool about it are those red stones you were talking about, are rubies. And if you look carefully, you'll see there's no metal in between them. That's what is known as invisible setting. So they actually cut all of them underneath where you can't see in grooves, and they run it along a rail. And so it literally looks like it's invisibly set, is what they call it, or mystery set.
Okay, and this was a fine piece when it was made.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And what would something like this go for with tax and license?
Well, I don't know about tax, but $54,000 is what we're asking for.
$54,000, right?
Yeah.
And small unmarked bills, no doubt. The thing about jewelry, I've had done probably over the years half a dozen jewelry shows with local jewelers and things.
Sure.
And
You
one
got
of the
some great
questions I
jewelers.
always like to ask, because it's like a good human nature question, is a guy walks in with a beautiful young girl, but you know it's not his wife. Has that ever happened in your store?
I don't think that ever happened. No, it didn't.
Except last week.
So the funny part of the story is, do you just make yourself numb, or how do you handle that?
Well, you smile, you recognize the person, and you deal with it as another client who wants to buy a piece.
What you really want to avoid. Once we had a client, he bought 3 pieces from us, and one was for his wife, one was for his daughter, and one was for his girlfriend. And he had us gift wrapped all of them, and I said, just wait 1 second, Mr. So-and-so. Which one is for which? He said, well, that's none of your business. I said, but once I put them in the box, you're not going to know either. So we put a little thing on the bottom of each box for him.
Well, I asked Christopher Walling this story. Do you know Christopher, right?
Sure, he's great.
Great guy. He's been on the show many times. He's a wonderful raconteur.
Yeah, he's great.
And he said, I know all these wives, because Aspen's a small town, so it makes me a little uncomfortable. But then the people sitting next to him, I said, how do you handle it? And they said, will that be Amex or Visa? All right, let's do this. Let's take another short break for our underwriters. When we come back, we are going to find out about the worst mistake you can make when you buy an antique. We're coming right back.
I thought you were going to talk about